Hey guys! So I'm here to talk to you today about the books I read in the month of April. I actually only read 2 books again in April, so I'm falling way behind on my year's goal of 50, but hopefully I'll catch up sometime. So the first book I read in April was actually the book I was reading for most of April because it was so long. The Host by Stephanie Meyer, and I was reading this because I wanted to finish it so that I could watch the movie. The trailer for the movie actually really piqued my interest. And also a video by another vlogger that I watch. I'll link to her video here. I can't remember her YouTube name right now, which is really embarrassing. I think her actual name is Sana, and I'll link to her video here, and she said that The Host was one of her favorite books and I really respect her opinion, so I decided to read it. And I was actually pleasantly surprised. I wasn't expecting too much from it going into it just because I wasn't terribly impressed when I read the Twilight books, but I actually am having a hard time kind of reconciling in my mind that Stephanie Meyer wrote Twilight and The Host, because The Host is just, it's so different. It's about love in so many different ways, both love for family, mother's love, romantic love. It's about a post-apocalyptic Earth in which the human race has been taken over by souls, which are these little alien creatures that have embedded themselves in the back of most of humanity's skulls and basically have taken over their bodies. And there aren't that many humans left that don't have these things embedded in their skulls. And so they're kind of dying out, and this book is told from the perspective of a soul named Wanderer who is embedded into a human named Melanie Strider, who had a little brother and a romantic partner she was traveling with. She finds that Melanie is not as easy to overcome as her previous hosts, which have all been from previous planets. She's been to like 7 different planets before Earth, so she's a pretty well-traveled soul. So Wanderer finds herself coming to love the same people that Melanie loves and being unable to shake Melanie from her head, and so she ends up running away from her society to find Melanie's little brother and romantic partner and save them, basically. I really liked this book. I would say it's probably one of the best books I've read so far this year. It was just overall a really good book that spoke a lot to what it means to be human and what it means to love. So I highly recommend it. If you're hung up on the fact that Stephanie Meyer wrote Twilight at all, just forget it for a minute and pick up this book and start reading it, and you won't want to put it down. And I also read Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. Obviously I've been waiting for this book for a while because I've read all of the other Infernal Devices trilogy and all of her other books, and this book did not disappoint as an end to a trilogy. I've always been kind of a Team Jem person, so I was a little worried about how the book would turn out because I really didn't want Jem to be hurt emotionally by Tessa, and you know, I don't want to spoil anything, and I don't want to spoil anything from the previous books either, because this again is the last book in a trilogy, but it is a really good trilogy. It's steampunk, it takes place in Victorian England. There's magic, there's demons, there's I don't think there are any vampires. There are werewolves. There are vampires in earlier books in the trilogy. Shadow hunters, demon hunters is what they are, shadow hunters. So basically read all the books by Cassandra Clare because they're all amazing. And again, I'm not going to tell you too much about Clockwork Princess, except to say that the main character's name is Tessa, and she's kind of a shapeshiftery type person. She doesn't really know what she is until, again, this book, so I won't spoil anything for you. And she's kind of drawn between 2 possible love interests, Will and Jem, and they're parabatai, which means that they're like brothers, where they always fight together and are basically bound to each other for life. And you know, if one dies, the other is extremely heartbroken and it's like losing a part of themselves, and Jem is mortally ill and has been his entire life. So it has a lot of stuff going on in it, and I highly recommend reading the series if you haven't already. And I would even recommend starting with Infernal Devices instead of The Mortal Instruments, which is the first series she wrote and the longer one that takes place in the present day with in the same kind of world. I would recommend reading Infernal Devices first because I like the Infernal Devices better for the most part, and also I would like to reread The Mortal Instruments now just to see how stuff ties in. Yeah, those were the books I read in April. Hopefully I'll read more books in May, but who knows. Also, I recorded an adaptation review for the Host movie with R.C. Byler. I haven't edited it yet, but I probably will and get that up by the end of this week, by sometime this weekend maybe. It's probably going to be out of theaters by then, but, you know, hopefully you'll get to read it in time to decide whether or not you're going to rent it or buy it or whatever. Anyway, you'll see me later.